Hey there, spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of Scaryish. We're the Scaryish podcast. I'm Robin Grace. That's Adam Diaz.
Hello.
Today is an episode full of games, right? I know you're doing a game. I'm doing a couple games. It's going to be games. It's going to be great.
Indeed, it is. I am covering a single game, whereas you are covering multiple games. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'm going to be going on with my paranormal game series. I'm excited.
You're at 6, and it makes me think I need to go back and check Haunted Hollywood and see how many of those we have, because you might have the most installments of a series for the show now, which means I have to go back to Haunted Hollywood. I'm going to be covering a prophetic game. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to name my topic yet. But I'm covering a game known as Illuminati New World Order.
Is it Illuminati, Naughty?
No, not sexy. It's just Illuminati.
Not as cool, but okay.
So what games are you going to be covering? Or are you going to save that for your topic?
I'm going to be covering it in my topic. We'll get there.
Okay. Fine then. Be that way. Don't share yet. Cool. Fun stuff. I hope you guys are excited for a fun episode. Robin, it's been 7 days since the folks have heard from us. What are you up to? What's up, girl?
Same thing as last week. You know, work. I was waiting. Do we get demonetized if we do that? No.
It has to be a lot more than that, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so it's just doing that. We didn't have any cons. We hung out together. That was cool. I got to go to Vegas for a second.
It was really nice to hang out and just sort of chill and
see our new dog. She's getting huge.
She's so adorable. She's almost 5 months. Actually, as of today, she is. No, that's a lie. I was thinking of my birthday. I'm 5 months out from my birthday. She was born on May 17th. So she's not even 5 months yet, but she's becoming a really good dog, a real cuddle bug of a corgi. So that's always super cute. But yeah, we didn't do a whole lot. We just hung out. So it was a fun weekend. Not a whole lot of plans going on for the near future, although we should have the next episode of Bloodlines coming out soon. I'm hoping to have the final one for this first installment go up around Halloween. That is my hope and dream, and we will see if it comes to fruition. But that said, I think we're going to go ahead and get started on this episode. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so this week I'm starting I'm finally off of the Magical Artifacts series. Hooray. I think it was great. Don't get me wrong, but it's nice to move out of that realm for a bit. I know we'll always remember the fun times. The part where I found the Holy Grail at the end of the episode, and then Robin took it from me and crossed the seal and broke the temple. And then I was like holding on to her hand, and Sean Connery was like, let her go. And I dropped her. Like, that was crazy. It was a huge plot twist. But she's back. She climbed out and everything's good now. So We're ready to move on into our next episode. So anyways,
okay.
For this week, I'm going to be covering something that's what some folks would say is a game that predicts the future. And I'm calling this topic placeholder topic name because I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet.
But all of you will already know, because by the time they'll see the title.
They know. I just don't. So it's going to be something like prophetic games or just Illuminati New World Order or something like that. I'll figure it out. So this topic definitely veers into the conspiracy theory side of things. And if you don't like this topic, you can blame our friend Marsha. She's a friend of the show. Throughout the week, she sends me clips on Instagram of other paranormal or true crime or conspiracy theory accounts. It's basically one of the only forms of communication we have at this point, but it means a lot that she actually listens to our show and she sends us stuff like, hey, you guys should check this out. You guys should cover this.
My cousin Peggy also does the same thing. It's so awesome.
It means a lot because it means you care. But it also means that I don't have to look up a topic some weeks. And that's the case with this week. Because sometimes it's really hard to find a topic. We are 246 episodes in. That's at least 500 individual topics. Because some of our episode 0 had 2 topics. Some of our episodes have had 3 topics. It's a lot of shit. So we're running out of stuff. Not really. There's still a lot of stuff to cover. But sometimes it's hard to find something that you're like, oh, I really want to cover that. So, it's actually been helpful. This particular topic is inspired by a video that was put out by an Instagram account called The Rabbit Hole. They have 240,000 followers, so they doing okay. But if you want to go check them out, feel free. And after I looked into it a little bit, I was like, that does seem interesting. So this is good. The credit goes to The Rabbit Hole and myself because I put in a lot of research. If it sucks, if you're like, I didn't really enjoy this episode, it's clearly Marsha's fault. We will blame her. So Anyways, the parts of this topic involving the game itself are true. The game absolutely exists. This isn't one of those rumor says there was this game that's not around anymore. It's not a rumor. This game is real. It is discontinued, but it's still out there. The idea behind the game predicting the future, though, that could and might as well all be bullshit. You're not quite sure, but as you start going through some of these things, it does get coincidental, that's for sure. But we're going to break it down piece by piece. The game I'm talking about, as I have mentioned, is called Illuminati, New World Order. You can find it online as INWO. Those initials should bring it up if you ever want to check it out. And it's a trading card game. So think like Magic the Gathering, but with less magic and more controversial topics.
Okay.
Or like Pokemon, but less evil conspiracies. So
what?
If you've heard
explain
of a trading, no, I can't. Nintendo's listening. If you've never heard of a trading card game before, it's essentially like a mixture of trading cards, which, where kids go and buy a pack of trading cards. It either has like baseball or basketball or just athletes on it in general. Except rather than having athletes, it has like spells or characters or something like that can be put towards a general rule set that will help you play a game with like friends that also have it. So it's something that I've experienced in 6th grade. My friend Tim said, hey, you should come over, you should play this game. I was like, all right, sounds fun. I went over, I sat down, he gave me some cards. He's like, it's called Magic the Gathering, and you have 20 life points, I have 20 life points, and the goal is to kill each other. And I was like, that sounds cool. And then he absolutely destroyed me. I was like, this game sucks. I have to go home for dinner.
Was it a poison deck? It's always a poison deck.
No, I don't actually remember what. I think it's just a green deck, so it's nothing but creatures. But
what?
I went home, I ate, and after I got done eating, I was like, can I come back over and play? Because that was super fucking fun. And after that, I was addicted. And it's really fun. And that's kind of the idea behind what a trading card game was for me. I don't know if any of you folks have ever played one, but that's just kind of how they work. There's always like a rule set. There's an end goal that you're trying to accomplish. And this trading card game, Illuminati, New World Order, or INWO, is no different from that. It does have a rule set that some folks state is very complicated. And there is a win condition, and the cards that you obtain throughout the game help you advance towards your goal or prevent your opponent from reaching their win condition, which in some cases is identical to yours. If you've ever played Risk, obviously the purpose of Risk is to take over the world, to eliminate your opponents. Sometimes you want a faster game, and there's these things called mission cards, where you don't have to take over the world, you just have to succeed in your mission. So sometimes it's like eliminate all blue. Yeah. So you just have to defeat one opponent, or like hold 18 territories, or hold like 4 continents, or something like that. So the win condition cards are similar to what happens in this game. So it's not just like defeat your opponent. It is get 12 points, basically, is what it comes down to. Like the first person to 12 points wins.
So it's kind of like, what is that game, Catan, where you just want to try and get up to X
yeah, like
Catan's,
you're trying to get to 10. You can sabotage each other a little bit with the robber and things like that. So, there's similarities. So if you've played games like this, it might ring a bell. Steve Jackson is the guy who created this game. It has a few other folks attached to it, but he is the guy. He's the designer. He's the one who created it. And he's created multiple things. He's not just a dude who just showed up, made this game, and disappeared. As like some of the internet would have you believe, like, everyone believes the Illuminati created this game. Like, no, like, person who's been making games his entire life, Steve Jackson, game designer, worked on multiple projects, also made this game. He's a graduate of Rice University. At that particular university, you learn to cook all types of grain, not just rice, for those of you who don't know.
Shut up.
JK, LOL, haha. It's a university in Texas for cereal. He's designed other games, like I mentioned. He actually made a game called Melee, which I had not heard of until I was researching him. He made it in the 80s, and he made it like early 80s because he was irritated at playing the first edition of Dungeons and Dragons because he found the dice annoying. He didn't like how many dice there were, which as soon as I read that, I'm like, this guy's dumb. I hate him. And
he's definitely evil. Got it.
Yeah, he didn't like the combat rules. He found them unsatisfying. He thought there wasn't enough tactics involved. He also wrote rules and helped another guy make a game. That guy's name is Lloyd Blankenship. He designed a game called GURPS, or GURPS Cyberpunk. From what I can tell, the GURPS are like an advanced version of a pre-existing rule set. Cyberpunk is a different game created by different people. The GURPS version is one that Lloyd Blankenship was creating, and he got his friend Steve Jackson to help him out. It's actually kind of interesting because as they were creating this in like the late 80s, very early 90s, like maybe 1990, the Secret Service showed up and they raided Lloyd Blankenship and Steve Jackson's home, and they took all the materials for the game that they had been creating.
This needs to be like the games that made us type of episode. Like, this sounds so fascinating.
I mean, you're going to really be interested in some of the stuff that Steve worked on. At least one thing. I know you're going to be like, oh, no way. So okay. I'm interested to hear what your games are, too. Maybe we'll just have the episode have a blanket title, which could be fun. So, yeah, the Secret Service shows up to Lloyd and Steve's house. They take all their shit, and they're like, what the fuck just happened? So eventually they go to the Secret Service. They're like, hey, we want our stuff back. And they're told officially by the United States government that their quote-unquote game was a, quote, handbook for computer crime, end quote.
The cyberpunk.
Yeah, GURPS Cyberpunk was confiscated by the U.S. government because they were acting like it was going to teach people how to commit computer crime. Steve actually sued the U.S. government and won. He got the materials returned and $50,000 in damages, basically showing they had no idea what the fuck they were talking about. It was clearly a game because it was a game based on another game. And the judge was like, whatever, nerd, take your shit and leave.
So the government was just full of...
The Secret Service just showed up and they're like, we took this stuff on suspicion of illegal hacker activity. It sounds like when your mom watches the movie Hackers and decides that if you type too fast, you must be one. Because they didn't really know what the fuck they were doing. They just showed up and they took this stuff. So maybe that was the inspiration for a game like Illuminati New World Order. The fact that he literally had to take on the U.S. government to get just his stuff back so he could be a nerd. But who knows? If you're thinking, man, this guy's name sounds really familiar, but I don't know why. It might be because his name is on the front of what I consider to be the most notable game he's created. It's a card game that goes by the name of Munchkin, and his name is on the very front of it.
No way.
Not only is he the creator of it, his company is like Steve Jackson Games, and like that's what Munchkin. That's who Munchkin's published by. So if you ever played Munchkin, it's super fun. If you haven't played it, it's a card game where you go through, you kill monsters, you power your character up. Once you get to level 10, you win. So think of it, if you've played it, as like the game we're about to talk about, Illuminati New World Order. Similar, but instead of like powering up your character, you're trying to like take control of different cards on the board and get 12 of them. So kind of similar mechanics, but not at all. It should also be stated that the game itself was illustrated by 4 different people, because the cards have, they're like a normal trading card you see. They have like the text on the bottom that tells you what it does, and then they have a picture. And it's not an actual photograph someone's taken, it's a drawing, it's an illustration. And from what I can tell, 4 different individuals worked on this during the time that it was active. So it's not like it all came from him. And that's important because a lot of the stuff that's creepy about this are the pictures on the cards. And that's why people think like this card game told the future, because this game came out in like 1994. So it's been out for quite some time. It's been out long enough where it's no longer in circulation. They don't print it anymore. You can still find some if you go on eBay or whatever, but it showed up. People were like, this is complicated, but if you figure out how to play it, it's super fun. One of like the most reputable websites back in the day when this game came out, like had a really long review about how steep of a learning curve it was, and it gave it a perfect score. It's like, if you can figure it out, it's incredibly fun. So I thought that was interesting. Like I've mentioned, let's just go over briefly how to play the game though. To play the game, you have to control 12 different types of cards, basically. Some cards can count as 2. Like, it'll say, like, hey, because of who you are, because of your character or whatever, if you control any of these specific cards, they'll count as 2 towards your total. So you don't have to get 12. You might only need to get, like, 6. Or it'll count as 3. So you only need to get 4, So there's strategy behind it in that way. Once you have 12 points, essentially, you win. And some cards can steal resources from your opponent. Some cards can sabotage resources that your opponent has to like make their goal extend further out. And some can buff your own stuff. So you can like stack certain things. And there's a bunch of different rules about like the metadata, like the meta rules and how like certain abilities stack and certain abilities don't. So it does get complicated. But basically, 12 is the number you're going for. Once you get it, you win. So what makes this game weird? Well, you're obviously playing a game that's going to have some weird shit in it if it's called Illuminati New World Order. Like, there's no doubt about that. It's not like Magic the Gathering, where if you want to hurt your opponent, you cast, like, Lava Dart. and pew, like their health goes down by 1 point. This is a bit different. So to describe what these things are like, we, Robin and I, are going to play a little game ourselves. I'm going to describe what a card does and what its name is. And Robin, I want you to give me what you expect the art on the card to look like. Because if I decided I was going to make a trading card game, I would come up with mechanics, I would come up with storyline, I would come up with the cards themselves and their functions. But when it came time to draw something, I'd be like, Robin, please God help me. So I think this will be a fun exercise of like, hey, if I told you this is what the card does, what would you want the picture to look like?
All right.
4 or 5 of these I'll put up on our Instagram/Facebook, the ones that I think you'll find the most interesting. Like something that I'm not going to show you is something that you could just imagine is going to be in a game like this. For instance, there's a card called Rewriting History. And it's just about like, you know, if you're establishing a new world order and you don't want people to know what came before you, you just change what history is. And it's a picture that says like Ministry of Truth at like an office building. And in the garbage cans are all the actual history books. Wow. So it's kind of creepy, you know, but it's not like it's depicting a specific event. But for a card game, you're like, damn, that's like a little bit rough.
Why does it say Ministry of Truth? That is what's sketchy.
Clearly, if you're rewriting history, there has to be a ministry that's doing it for you. But all right, so we're going to do this. I'm going to edit this so it sounds super smooth. But for Robin and I, this might take a minute because I'm going to ask her, I'm going to read the card, and then we're going to see what she says. And then I'm going to send her a picture of what the card looks like. So let me get my screen all set up, and we're going to do this thing. All right, so the first one, which is ironic, is called Conspiracy Theorists. That's the name of the card. All right. So the description of what the card does says, this powerless and much mocked group is prized by the Illuminati because their wild ravings often contain useful ideas. While you control this group, you may have 1 extra plot card in your hand at all times. Plot cards are the things that like do stuff. They're like the action cards you can take. So essentially, this is a group of people that if you control, you get to have an extra card in your hand, which is pretty fucking sweet. For anyone who's ever played a trading card game, having an extra card is always a big bonus. So now that you've heard that, you describe what you would put on here.
All right. So this group is a small group, but if I control them, because they know the quote-unquote truth, I control more cards.
Correct. That's
I
what
get
the
an
card
extra
does.
card. I don't know. Maybe a dude at a computer.
Okay, cool. I like it. So I'm going to send you a picture of what this card actually looks like.
Okay. You know, not too far off. It's a guy with his conspiracy theories. Makes sense.
Okay, so describe the picture that is on the actual card for us.
So it's just a guy in a suit giving like a lecture on old school, like pull down schoolroom screen, right? And he has all his conspiracy theories with what looks like perhaps a big scheme to brainwash a bunch of people.
Okay. The guy himself, what does he look like?
Guy in a suit with white hair and glasses.
All right. So what's funny about this card is that this dude looks remarkably similar to Glenn Beck, who has been on multiple news networks, including Fox News, and is famous for having a blackboard that he draws his conspiracy theories onto. I knew Robin wouldn't know who this guy is.
Yeah, so I have no idea who this is.
I'm going to send you a picture of Glenn Beck now, and then I want you to describe how similar this card's art is to what he actually has done on television for the better part of a couple of decades.
Wow. He has his own board and everything.
The haircut looks remarkably similar, and he also almost always wears glasses nowadays. So this one for me, I was like, that's kind of weird. That looks super similar, but hey, like conspiracy theorists, they might just have a specific look to them that wound up coming true. So not too super creepy.
It's a stretch for me. That's a stretch.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one. All right, so this next card I'm going to send you is called Political Correctness. And the ability of this card is good thoughts are now required. Increase the power of all liberal groups by 3. All conservative groups with a power of 0 or 1 become criminal as well. This card replaces any red NWO card in play. So it's powering up the liberal groups. It's depowering the conservative groups and making them criminal. How would you describe that in an image on a card?
A lot of people wearing blue against a lot of people wearing red.
Okay. Here's what the card looks like.
What the fuck?
Read what you're looking at. Tell people.
It's two guys that are tied up and getting hanged. One says used insensitive pronoun, and one says ate flesh of dead animals.
And they're being executed for it, which is super over the top and creepy. Like,
it's
I can't believe
super over the top. But if the person who made this game was very political towards one end or the other, he would obviously make very extreme art for this game.
But again, there's 5 people making the art for this. So, or excuse me, 4 people and then 1 person who wrote the game rules. So, okay, now we're starting to get an idea of like why this game was a little bit off, you know, and like people are like, okay, this game is pretty weird. So we're going to move on to the next one. This next one's called CDC.
CDC. Like the CDC.
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to assume it's a fucking hospital. It has the umbrella logo on the front. JKLOL.
I mean, I like where your head's at. The CDC card says, as its action, the CDC can supply relief to one devastated location on each turn. If the CDC makes a direct attack to destroy a place, because apparently the CDC can attack stuff, it can use biological warfare to get a plus 15 to its attack. If the attack fails, the CDC is automatically destroyed by the owner of the place that it attacked. So the CDC somehow has become a card that you can use to attack people or provide relief.
Okay.
How would you draw that?
I mean, I would assume it's a hospital, but maybe it's a doctor that is both angry or like sinister looking on one side and maybe turning to do something else on the other side. I don't know.
All right, check the card.
What the fuck? It's just so generic. It's just a doctor looking at stuff with
it's a doctor
bacteria.
Like holding up papers, and they look like they have like almost a chat bubble where they're like talking about germs, while there's like in the foreground like a drug stopper like going into a test tube that's like mixing up something that looks like it's super toxic. So
because of the smokiness.
Yeah, it's super weird again. And of course, this is a conspiracy theory game, so it's like the CDC can either help stop people or like use things in biological warfare. So again, this kind of plays into stuff that's happened more recently where you're just like, all right, there's a lot of people that have been yelling about stuff like COVID-19. We've got some really nasty comments on some of the episodes we've released on YouTube just because people got so fucking pent up and angry about stuff that was going on. So this is from 1994 when there hadn't really been a, you know, pandemic or anything like that. So let's go to the next card, which is called, you guessed it, Epidemic. Because I'm guessing they didn't realize pandemic would have been the proper term for it. But okay, so Epidemic is this next card. This is a disaster card. This is something you can play to like damage your opponent. It says this is an attack to destroy any place. It does not require an action. Its power is 14. It's not an instant attack. Other groups can interfere normally. If the attack succeeds, the target is devastated. This attack cannot actually destroy the target. So it doesn't destroy anything, just devastates it. So for Epidemic, what would you draw?
Bacteria or a virus going across the world.
Okay. I'm going to send you the picture of what this card looks like.
Okay. I don't see any, you know, strange, weird, prophetic things going on so far.
Okay. Well, look at the card.
Oh, all right. That makes sense. It makes sense for an epidemic. So it says quarantine on it. You know, it has drugs, disinfectant, has the Red Cross, face mask, gloves, and a fuckload of body bags. What the hell?
With toe tags on all of them showing that there are dead people in it. So
yep.
Obviously this is something you'd expect from an epidemic. I saw people online really going at this one where it's like the disinfectant is running out. It's like they knew. There's a mask on there. They knew we were going to be forced to wear masks. It's like, well, in any epidemic situation, you would be wearing a mask because that's just sort of what people do. And
the thing that makes this card over the top is the amount of body bags.
Agreed. 100%. So this one has been at the center of recent controversy. So that is Epidemic. Now we're going to get into some of the ones that, you know, people really like to go like, this was predicting the future. So this next one is called Charismatic Leader.
This is going to be Trump, isn't it?
All right, so this card can be played at any time and counts as the action for the group it affects. The increased power takes effect immediately. So this is a buff. This boosts whatever group you're casting it on. The power for one fanatic group is increased to 6. Link this card to your chosen fanatic group, no player may have more than one charismatic leader in play. Only one at a time. What would you draw here?
Probably Trump at a fucking Trump rally with all his fanatics.
All right, describe the image I just sent you when you see it.
It is a guy at a rally with a bunch of people in front of him.
What color is the guy's hair, Robin?
Yellow.
All right, because people think that this is gold. And this is meant to illustrate the fact that Donald Trump would rise to power and bring with him a group of people that would be considered, quote unquote, fanatics.
This is a stretch. Because this could be any, like mega church leader. And those are all the all the people that are going to church. And you know what I mean? Like,
and to be clear, this is the back of his head. You can't see the front of his face. This is just like white dude's neck, blonde, goldish hair, and he's like holding his arms out like he's talking to a crowd of people that are enamored with what he's saying.
It looks like it's not that his hair is blonde. It is that there is a bright halo on this person.
Okay, and you guys can interpret this because we're going to put a couple of these up on our Instagram as well, /Facebook, so you can see what these look like. We're going to move on to the next card, and this one's called Pentagon. So this one will be fun. The Pentagon card says, each corporate group directly controlled by the Pentagon lets you draw one extra plot card each turn. So this one, very, very short, but what it's basically saying is the Pentagon controls corporations and that you get to have an extra card in your hand because who doesn't like that? What would you draw for this particular card?
The Pentagon.
All right. Seems straightforward, right?
I mean, obviously, straightforward, yeah.
Pentagon's giving you an extra card. It's boosting all the corporations. What is the picture I just sent you?
Why is the Pentagon on fire?
No one knows. It doesn't make any sense. It's supposed to be buffing the other groups. The Pentagon's not getting attacked. But the picture is of the Pentagon in flames for some reason.
This one is weird.
This one is weird. People are like, Pentagon got hit at 9/11. It's kind of odd that they would draw that on there when the Pentagon had nothing to do with being attacked. But, maybe they're just doing it for shock value. Like, here's a symbol of, like, American, security.
The card description is straight violent government.
Yeah. So things obviously are weird here. So this next one I'm going to read to you is Terrorist Nuke. So Terrorist Nuke states, play this card at any time to give +10 power or resistance, your choice, to any violent group you control. If used with an action, it must be played when that action is first declared and counts only for that action. If used for defense, the bonus lasts until the end of the current turn, is good for defense only, and does not count towards your goals. So this is either an attack spell or a defense spell. Basically, describe what you think a terrorist nuke would look like, Robin.
I would assume it is a terrorist with maybe a key to the nuke or something. I don't know.
Okay, for me in particular, one of the things that I used to draw when I was younger was the nuclear blasts going off. And I just thought like a mushroom cloud looked super cool. And then I started drawing like the shock wave around it. One of my teachers one time saw me drawing it and she was like, it looks like a tree in water. And I was like, you dumb bitch. And I never drew it again because it did look like a tree in water 100%.
Okay.
But I'm going to show you what terrorist nuke looks like according to the artist who drew this in 1994.
Okay.
You describe what you see.
What? Okay. This is not a nuclear blast.
First of all, no nuke in this picture, right?
There is no nuke in this picture, at least not what we know to be what a nuclear blast looks like. It looks like two towers, one of which is blowing up halfway. Halfway
up, it's blowing up. And it has that weird, like, explosion that seems to be happening in a horizontal direction.
Yes. Like all the debris and shrapnel and all that stuff is going outwards, like away from the building. Not going down, it's going sideways.
If you saw this picture, you had no idea what the card was, it was just the image drawn on it, what was the first thing you would say?
It looks like 9/11.
It looks exactly like 9/11. Like, it's almost as far up on this building as the plane hit in 9/11. This was drawn in 1994, 7 years before 9/11 happened, and it depicts what is supposed to be a terrorist nuke, but is instead an explosion hitting one of the two twin towers, because there's other buildings in the background that are clearly smaller than it. And these towers are obviously meant to be the World Trade Center because they're identical in size, and the orientation with which they stand to each other is very, very similar to how the World Trade Center was set up, which some of you might need a picture of, because I realize there's a lot of folks that listen to the show that are a little bit younger. And I mean, you could be 21 at this point and you were not even alive when 9/11 happened. So this is the one that freaked people the fuck out. So when this came out, no one really talked about this card. When 9/11 happened, anyone who had played this game brought this up, and this has been talked about. It's at the center of the conspiracy theory that this game somehow had someone involved that knew this was going to happen or was predicting the future. So this is the most unsettling of all the cards, in my personal opinion.
It just does not make sense that they would draw this for what should be a nuke.
Yeah. Could be just like a shady guy with glasses, that like is carrying a briefcase that has like a timer on it, or like a key card, or like two keys like turning or something like that.
Yeah,
or,
but that's from me watching True Lies.
For me, like nuclear explosion, if it's a terrorist nuke going off, like a nuclear explosion, this has nothing, like the picture does not attach to it whatsoever. Like even if this went through like someone that was like quality control, the first thing they should have said is like, how the fuck is this a nuke? Like, this isn't a terror. Everyone's seen the footage of what a nuclear blast looks like. This isn't a nuke, but it's creepy that this is what got released. So if you're thinking, if you looked at the Instagram or the Facebook, you saw the picture like, holy shit, that's super creepy. What's going on? I should say, to be fair, the World Trade Center was bombed on February 26th, 1993. So 9/11 wasn't the first time the World Trade Center got hit. For those of us who are old enough to remember, they tried to knock it down once before, so
it isn't so out of the ordinary that they would do it again.
This would be fresh in their mind that it had just happened, and I should also mention the group that was responsible for doing it. They stated they would do it again. So it was something where it happens. 9 people died. I think over 1,000 people got injured. They blew up a bomb that was in a van, I think, that was in the parking garage below the World Trade Center. The structure of the building, because I believe it had like a bridge that connected the two towers, somehow helped it stay upright, and they were able to repair it without it collapsing. The entire intention was to collapse both of those towers, though, in 1993. So people had it fresh in their minds, like this shit happened. They've said they wanted to do it again. So it's very reasonable that like something that's scary could still be in someone's head. And if they, were drawing something about a nuke going off, the most recent target that, was hit by international terrorists in America might have been, fresh in their mind, the World Trade Center. The accuracy of this depiction is what's super creepy, though.
But it's not a nuke. That's what I don't get.
It's not a nuke at all. Yeah, it really isn't. And so that's really creepy. So, okay, we've looked at stuff that's been drawn. Some of them are coincidental. Some of them was like, yeah, in recent history, we've had a pandemic. We had quarantine. Those things happen. Yeah, the card kind of looks like Donald Trump. So that said, they all these cards that I showed you, though, they match up with something that's happened recently. Whether or not you want to say like not exactly, but you can totally relate it to something. And you can see how conspiracy theorists really, really love this particular topic. Would you agree that these cards look like something that's happened at least?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let me send you one of the other cards that seems completely out of place, and people are not sure why it made its way in there, but I'm going to send you this one, and then I want you to describe what it's... I want you to read the title, I want you to describe what the image is, and then I want you to give us a prediction on when you think this is going to happen. All right? We're going to see if Robin is prophetic.
We'll see.
All right, so read the title and describe the image of what I'm about to send you.
So, this card is called The Plague of Demons. And it says, disaster! This is an instant attack to destroy any place except a huge one.
And what's the picture of?
You must... Okay, hold on. Okay. It is of the White House, what looks like the White House, am I right?
That's Congress.
Okay, it is Congress. And a bunch of demons surrounding Congress. Like... demons in the sky, demons like on the ground. It's just
so in a game
creepy.
That's about like political intrigue, controlling special interest groups, like having liberals versus conservatives, there is a card called Plague of Demons where they just show up and they can destroy any place except for what is qualified as a huge one, which Obviously I'd have to read more into the rules to see which places exist and which ones are qualified as huge. But a disaster goes from, a nuclear attack to plague of demons seems kind of crazy. So Robin, if you had to guess, when do you expect the plague of demons to arrive?
I feel like that's like January 6th type shit where they already went and, swarmed this building. There was the guy who was dressed in that stupid outfit where he had horns on. He had that like hat thing with the horns.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not look at it like that, but that's fucking crazy that you say that, come to think of it. Because, I saw this and I was just like, it's so outlandish. Clearly, this is supposed to be, end of the world, biblical shit, demons showed up. I didn't think that this could just be, an allegory for, a giant mob descending on this exact location and attempting to destroy it. But, holy fuck, you might be right about that. That's kind of creepy now, too. Robin.
I'm prophetic.
You are prophetic. You're a conspiracy theorist, and you're very good at looking into your crystal ball and figuring out what this shit's about. So,
thank you.
The guy who made this is still alive. All the artists that I was able to look up are still alive. They don't really have many comments on this. They moved on with their lives and they've done different projects like Munchkin. They've all, one way or another, had some sort of success within that industry. This is just like one of those games they tossed out there that didn't quite find an audience. But it's really fucking creepy how some of these things depict events or similar to events that just had not happened at that time. So
right.
It's possible some of you out there have heard of this. It's possible some of you out there might have actually played this game before. I know I had a bunch of trading card games when I was younger that just fizzled out really hard. Marvel ones, DC ones, random different stuff. I probably have 1,000 World of Warcraft trading card game cards in our garage at this moment because they had a battle system. Then they decided to do player versus raid where they released raids that were similar to WoW events that were actually within the game. Super cool system. Didn't last. Turned into Hearthstone, which is super, super successful. And
love Hearthstone.
Rather than printing cards, it's all digital now. But like I'm saying, I'm a trading card game fan. And I've seen some weird stuff, but odd is an understatement when it comes to this particular game. And you're probably thinking right now, damn it, Adam, it would have been really cool if you had this game. You could have streamed it, made some really cool content. Unfortunately, I'd never heard of this until Marsha sent me the thing. So, hey, dear listener, I can't tell you whether or not this game predicts the future. The cards themselves are commentary on things that had already happened or seem likely to happen, but some of them are just a little bit too weird for my liking. And while the nature of it might be creepy, at its core, you could change the names of these things, and you probably still have a pretty interesting card game. I'm actually kind of interested in how it plays. The art, however, is definitely crazy. It would have made a really fun game night, which is why I bought it off of eBay, and I'll have it in the next few days. So yeah, baby,
you did not.
We're having a game night. 100%
you did not.
did. I bought the starter kit. It comes with 2 starter packs. We're doing this.
My God.
We're going to play Illuminati New World Order at some point in the near future.
I'll only play it if we play the Illuminati version.
Okay, we're playing Strip Illuminati New World Order, also known as Illuminati. And I'll refrain from stating whether or not I think the game is actually prophetic until we've had a chance to actually play it.
All right.
And that, my spooky friends, is the card game known as Illuminati New World Order.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's weird. It's very weird, but I thought it would be fun for you to look at these things because when I was scrolling through it, I was like, can this be a topic? And I was like, whatever. Holy shit, those are the Twin Towers. Oh my God, it's the Pentagon on fire. And then I was reading each card that came up, the people who post online and how much Reddit's attached to certain cards during the pandemic or during the Trump presidency. And I'm just there's some that I just didn't include, March on Washington, and it shows people protesting in front of the White House. It's that's happened a lot, or martial law where they're tear gassing people. And it's people have been tear gassed and shit. It's just, there's so much stuff that's political that's been put into this card game. It's stuff that's happened before or was bound to happen sooner or later.
History repeats itself.
Yeah, 100%. So some of these things, though, are definitely creepy. But definitely check out our Instagram and our Facebook if you want to see these cards, because I'm going to post 4, maybe 5, depending on how many pictures Robin sends me for her topics. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Also, if this offended you in any way, shape, or form, don't fucking at me. I don't care.
Okay. All right, so let's go into a quick commercial break. We'll come back with a new set of with a new set of games that is on a different spectrum.
On the paranormal spectrum. So we'll be right back.
All right, welcome to my half of the episode. I do have paranormal games on this side. I guess maybe a little bit of that game could be chalked up to paranormal prophecy, but I'm going to say history. I'm going to say history repeats itself, and that's just people making stuff based on history.
Okay.
But who knows? Maybe it is prophecy. I think my comparison of that one card to things that have happened is pretty legit. Yeah. Just saying.
I would reserve final judgment until we play it. Who knows? There might be cards in this deck that I just haven't seen yet that we're going to pull and be like, what the fuck? So I'm kind of excited to play it.
All right. So I know Adam covered his own game this episode, but I thought that I would return with Paranormal Games with installment number 6. I can't believe we've had 6. This will be the 6th episode of these games. I didn't know that there were that paranormal games that existed in the world. Adam was even noting that, again, our paranormal game series is like the longest running specified topic series. If it has surpassed Haunted Hollywood. I know there's a lot of Haunted Hollywood episodes.
I will have to check, but you keep going and I'll break in to let you know.
All right. So I think the paranormal games are creepy and just kind of fun to read, not necessarily do myself. And I always wonder who comes up with these games because not all of them are ancient games, you know. Somebody had to come up with them, make maybe a creepypasta or something like that. But if you guys have ever tried any one of these games before, maybe not in this episode, maybe one of the previous paranormal games that we've covered, if you've already tried it, just let us know. You know, you can email us. We had somebody send a video before of them doing the elevator game.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I think
they posted it on our Facebook, yeah.
They also sent a video of them ordering 10 McNuggets.
Knowledge nugs.
And the fucking McDonald's person was not having it, but that was awesome. Also, just my quick break-in, Haunted Hollywood has had 7 installments.
Dang.
So you're close.
Dang it. Close. So if you've tried any of these other games, let us know. You can email us, storytime@scaryish.com. You can also post it to our Facebook group. A lot of people do that. And we appreciate all of our Facebook group meme sharers. We obviously don't recommend any of you guys going out of your way to perform these games. I would probably recommend you kind of just keep to the listening part of it and not go off and do anything about it. This first game I'm going to share with you folks is called the Midnight Game. And
this sounds familiar, but I think it's because there's that movie, The Midnight Man.
There's a movie called The Midnight Man. Some sources say that the Midnight Game was once an old pagan ritual used as a punishment for those who dared disobey the gods. And this obviously isn't a definitive, history to this. It's probably a creepypasta with a really deep backstory, because what's a good creepypasta without a good backstory, right? Apparently one of the oldest versions of this game dates back to August of 2010. So again, it's not an ancient game. And even if this game dated back to the beginning of the internet, it still would not be an ancient game. Okay. I'm not that old. The internet.
I don't know. I feel pretty ancient some days.
I remember when I had a guy from Time Warner Cable or something install DSL at my house for the first time. And he downloaded iTunes. And he's like, guys, check this out. He downloaded iTunes and downloaded a song off iTunes. And it wasn't even that fast compared to our downloads these days. But he's like, this is incredible.
I remember
on DSL
waiting days to download a couple of songs and having whatever. I think I used to use BearShare when I still had 50, 60K because they shut down Napster. And I remember BearShare was before LimeWire.
I used Kazaa.
Oh, I remember Kazaa too. I remember when the internet showed up. I remember my mom being like, "This is electronic mail." Like, I remember when that first showed up. I remember the first computer I ever used did not have Windows because it did not exist yet. I remember figuring out how to type in commands in DOS. So I am.
They used to teach us how to use a search engine. I remember when there was Ask Jeeves, and I remember when Google first came out. Bro, it's I was
a web crawler guy myself. I remember when Ask Jeeves showed up, I was like, I'm not using that. I liked web crawler. And then I did Yahoo for a little while, and then I saw people talking about Google on TV, and I'm like, what the fuck is Google? And then I tried it, and I was like, I will use this for the rest of my life because it's so good. It really is.
Yeah, I remember on Ask Jeeves, you had to do like this plus this, or it was like a bunch of different commands.
Features. I think you can still do those too.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about is the Midnight Game. So, what does this entail? How does this game go? Well, you need at least one person, be that you or a friend or a group, whatever you guys want. Each player must perform their own invitation as individuals. So each of you are going to have to gather these things. So a candle, a lighter or a book of matches, a piece of paper, a writing implement. So that's pencil, pen, marker, whatever you want it to be, a sterilized pin, a wooden door, which is closed, and some salt. And for me, it's like you never forget the salt, because if Supernatural has taught me anything, it's salt and burn.
I know I've talked about this before, but if I were a bad guy that was prevented from going somewhere by a line of salt, I'd just be like, and I just blow it out of the fucking way. That's why I've always said, like, take Elmer's glue, make your circle, then pour salt onto the Elmer's glue so it'll stay. And we've had the idea to make salt glue for those of you who don't want to combine those two things. That way you can just have protection at all times. You don't have to worry about a demon blowing it away, like I would, like they probably would, because it's a pretty obvious solution.
Did you watch La Llorona?
I did not, no.
That is what happens in La Llorona.
There's salt glue?
She blows the door open and blows the salt line.
I mean, it's just pretty basic shit, right?
So, yeah, salt glue's where it's at. Anyway, we gotta make it. Make that our new brand. So you have to prep this game before midnight. You write your full name, first, middle, last, on a piece of paper, with, whatever pen, pencil, marker, whatever it is you grabbed. Then with the pin that you grabbed, you prick your finger and you squeeze your finger until like a drop of blood has pooled. I know I've had that happen before with a paper cut or something like that. But you stick this blood onto the paper that you wrote your name on until it soaks into the paper. And you really want to get it in there. Oh my God. So you probably want to pick a more absorbent paper if you want it to go quick, or you can pick like a really heavy hardstock and have it take forever. So now you turn off every light within the house. I don't know if that includes like the alarm clock lights or the VCR lights or the stove or the microwave or whatever. And I feel like I just aged myself by saying VCR lights, DVD players.
You did indeed.
Blu-ray players. Jesus. The directions are pretty vague, but you can see how you would need more time to prep, right? If you have to go through your house and turn off everything. So definitely prep before midnight. Now that you have this blood-stained piece of paper with your name on it in the dark, you place it in front of your closed wooden door. You take the candle and you place it on top of that piece of paper that you made, and you light your candle with whatever you brought as an ignition source, so your lighter or your matches or what have you. And you need to be careful with the fire and the paper. Fire is flammable, just so you know. I mean, I'm sure everybody knows paper is flammable, but if your candle isn't in a jar or anything, you're going to want to put it on a candle holder or a plate or something, because you're going to have to carry it around. even though you might be playing a dangerous game when it comes to the midnight game, you still want to be safe with fire.
Yeah, no shit.
You don't,
like all your lights are out, you're
you don't
carrying
want to
around
burn
an
your
open
hands.
flame.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to set your house on fire. So, hopefully, now, since you've taken all the time to turn off all your lights and set up all this stuff, it's close to midnight. And that's important because what you're going to do next really depends on the time. You need to knock on the closed door 22 times. And the final knock must be at exactly 12 a.m. And if you did that correctly, you open the door, you blow out the candle, and then you close the door again. And you relight your candle immediately upon closing the door. It just seems like this whole act of opening, blowing out, closing the door, it would just give me so much anxiety because what you're doing is like letting something in. And that is like something that would fill me with so much fear. Hopefully you're able to light your candle right away and you don't struggle with it. Like I'm sure I would because I got freaking fumbly fingers and I'm really not good with lighting things with matches. But you have the whole first part all squared away and the game begins. So you relight your candle, you're on it. You can start taking your candle into your hands and you have to keep your salt and your matches or whatever close to you. Be sure to keep those close to you. And you just start moving around your house and you keep moving. And if your candle goes out while you're walking around, you need to relight your candle within 10 seconds.
That's anxiety inducing yet again.
Yeah. So hopefully you're successful. If you're good at it, you just got to keep on going and don't stop moving until 3:33 a.m. Very specific. Now, if you're not good at lighting a candle, once it's out, you need to immediately surround yourself with a circle of salt and keep yourself within this circle until the end at 3:33 a.m. Once it hits 3:33, you can stop moving or you can step outside of your circle of salt and turn all the lights on because the game is now over. What you're supposed to be doing in the game is welcoming what is called the Midnight Man, which we spoke of earlier, into your house. And the goal of this game is to avoid meeting him in the dark. And that's why you need to always be on the move so that you don't let him get you. Which I'm like, why would you do this?
Yeah,
What's so fun about doing this?
Get? Like, do I get a fiddle made of gold if I win? Like, I don't know what the win scenario here is.
So what happens to you if he catches you? Some say he'll remove your organs one by one. Others are a little less sinister and claim that he has you hallucinate your worst fears until the end of the game. I would rather hallucinate than get my organs removed.
You know what?
IMO.
Hang on. I think I would too. That's a hot take, but I'm going to go with you on it.
And then some say that you could possibly be mentally scarred forever. So I'll pass on that one. You can avoid him if you keep these following clues in mind. He's near you when you feel sudden drops in temperature, like a ghost, or if you hear the disembodied sound of a soft whisper.
We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty.
It's funny because your mom got a call the other day and she's like, they're probably just calling about my car's extended warranty. It goes on. If you see a dark shadow figure, you should definitely avoid him. If your candle goes out, it's probably him. If any of these things happen, you need to leave the area immediately and just keep moving. You need to leave all the lights off. You cannot turn any of the lights on or even a flashlight on during the game. You cannot fall asleep, but that's literally like if you fall asleep, you're staying in one place. He's obviously going to get you. Why would you fall asleep? That's so stupid. You do not attempt to use any other person's blood during the invitation creation. And don't try to leave your house during the game. You shouldn't provoke him, and you shouldn't assume that he's left your home for good once the game's over as well.
That's fucked up.
So it's like once you invite him once, it's like, okay. This game just seems terrifying to me. I don't think there really is a point I have watched that movie about the game called The Midnight Man. It has Robert Englund in it, horror icon, bless.
Wow.
And maybe that's why this game is a little bit scarier for me than it should be, because I've already seen the movie about it, and that movie was scary, and I just know that I would never want to try it myself.
Okay, I have two things. One is what I remember from the movie is they say that the Midnight Man plays tricks on you, and I don't want to spoil it.
It makes you see things, right?
Well, hang on. Okay, I'm going to spoil Midnight Man, or at least a part of it. So skip ahead 15 seconds if you're like, I want to go see this movie. So he changes the clocks in the movie to make them think it's 3:33.
That it's over.
And they step outside the thing. So I'm not sure if he does that IRL, because he's clearly real. But if so, dick move. Also, super smart. The other thing is, what's the win condition? Like, why would anyone do this aside from just to say they did it? It's like when you go hunting.
I forget why they do it in the game. They do it for a reason.
Yeah, it's like when you go hunting,
or in the movie.
You hunt to kill an animal and you take it with you and you make meat out of it. You take its fur, you mount its head on the wall, whatever. With this, it's like you're voluntarily being hunted with nothing to gain from it, aside from the fact it's like, cool, I made it. My life is exactly how it was. Had I not fucking done this in the first place, I don't understand why anyone would do it, aside from like, maybe you just want a thrill.
Maybe you feel dead and you want to feel alive by having something threaten you.
That's what drugs are for. Everyone knows that. I'm just kidding.
What the fuck? All right. So the next game here is called the Dark Reflection Ritual. And this one's really interesting because it's a different twist on the idea of the broken mirror. So according to this ritual, the bad luck doesn't actually attach to the person who breaks the mirror, but actually lingers in the location in which the mirror is broken. And then the unlucky energy kind of dissipates over time. So that's kind of how this game kind of plays off, or ritual. So if you're breaking the mirror for the specific purpose of performing the ritual, that's like the time where the misfortune actually sticks to you. So if you're going out of your way to break it on purpose, the bad luck sticks to you. But if you survive through the night after doing so, then you'll have like a streak of really good luck on the other side. So that's nice. So to play this game, you'll need at least one person, but it is recommended that you take a group instead. You'll need to acquire a mirror, any type of mirror, whatever mirror that you're willing to break. Again, you'll need a candle and a lighter / matches. This game doesn't start as late as the midnight game, but it can if you want it to. That would be the hardest part of
the midnight game for me is staying up until the game starts.
Oh yeah, staying awake, stay alive. This game starts after sunset, but no less than 6 hours before dawn. So you have to give the game time. If you don't give it enough time, the negative energy doesn't have enough time to like fully manifest before the sun purifies it, so you don't get, the full effects of the good luck on the other side. So starting earlier in the day gives the negative energy more time, to fully manifest, but it also gives it more time to get you. So you got to choose wisely.
Does starting earlier in the day mean that your streak of good luck, if you succeed, will be longer?
Maybe. I didn't see that when I was looking up stuff, but it's like if you start earlier in the day, it gives the bad energy more hours to try to murder you.
Okay.
So you take the mirror and you look at your reflection in the eye. So you look at yourself in the eye, in the mirror for a solid 3 to 5 seconds. And you focus all your attention on the negative energy within the mirror. Now, I'm sure I won't be the first person to tell all of you that the longer you stare into a mirror, the more likely it is that you will start to see weird shit. I am not a big... I don't like looking in the mirror. That is not something I like to do. Once you've stared at it long enough, you hold the mirror up to your face and then you breathe onto the mirror so that it fogs up. And you repeat this for every player that is going to be there for the game. Obviously, it's not a good game to play if your goal is to not spread germs. Once all the players have completed these steps, you light the candle and hold it to the mirror's surface. And you kind of want to like scorch the surface of the mirror. So once there's like a small black mark, you blow out the candle. And once that is done, you break the mirror. So you break this mirror to release the negative energy that has built up within said mirror. And you leave it where it is. So you leave this broken mirror where it is that you broke it, and you leave the area immediately. Once you break the mirror, you'll notice that bad luck will start to follow you throughout the night. And it's not like the Midnight Man where you have to keep moving. It's just bad luck things will start happening to you. So it'll be small things at first, but then throughout the night, it'll get worse and worse and worse. So you kind of have to stay alert to stay alive. I know some of you out there are as clumsy as me, and I know at this point, survival is certainly impossible. I drop things constantly. I run into just about everything. And with my luck, I'd die of some freak Final Destination stuff if I tried this game. It's bad luck on top of bad luck. I don't know. I think you'd survive longer than me.
Maybe longer. I don't think I'd survive, though. Like, here's the thing. I wouldn't do this game. Like, tempting fate is not something I'm all about, and that's what this game is. Like, hey, let's see how many of my friends I can have come over to tempt fate with me. Plus, I don't want to break a mirror. You got to clean that shit up after the fact.
Yeah. The only tips for the night: stay on your toes. You have to stay vigilant and make sure you are just staying alert and looking at everything around you and not letting your guard down. And if you're in a particularly dangerous situation, you just hold your breath for as long as you can. Apparently, the holding the breath thing has something to do with how when you blow on the mirror, you kind of connect yourself with that negative energy within the mirror. So when you hold your breath, you're kind of buying time for yourself. You're buying yourself a few moments to escape the dangerous situation. If you are lucky enough to survive, you will have a streak of just the best luck once the sun comes up. And good luck will follow you wherever you go, even to the point where you should go out and buy a lottery ticket. It's that good. So maybe the people that have won the lottery in the past did this game. Who knows?
And no one's talking about it because they don't need all us plebs who haven't won the lottery to know that's how you do it.
That's true. Some say that the more important the mirror is to you, or like the more you've looked at it, like a bathroom mirror or a bedroom mirror, the more lucky, or the more like the luck will tailor to you. So it knows like what it is that you need or want. If the mirror is older and has captured the gazes of loads of people, the more negative energy it has. So because it has more negative energy within it, the higher the possibility of a reward. So dangers are heightened. You know, the bad things that are going to happen to you, those get heightened, but the reward at the end of the night is also heightened. So you gotta choose wisely. What is worth it for you?
Choose wisely.
It is highly recommended that you do not perform this particular ritual at home. It's likely that the negative energy will linger within the walls of your own home. So you don't want to do it there. Do it at the local rec center or something. Yeah, definitely don't do it at your own home. Maybe drive out of town, do it somewhere that's going to be really far away from where you have to go back and sleep. Apparently,
do it at your friend's house.
No, that's fucked up. Apparently, the more people you have with you, the more people there are to kind of share that negative energy. So instead of you taking the brunt of that negative energy when you break the mirror by having all your friends, breathe on the mirror too, it's like you kind of thin out the bad vibes because it splits up between everyone. So the more people you bring, the more likely that you'll probably survive, because you're less unlucky. But who knows? Who knows if that's how it actually works or not. So you should think before you do any of these games. I think it's not the best idea to do any of them. We recommend not doing them because there's no way to stop the rituals or the games once you've begun them. So definitely choose wisely. Don't do it.
I will say, at least for the second one, there's a win scenario. Like, there's a reward.
There's a
versus
reward.
Like the Midnight Man one, which is just bafflingly frightening. And it has no purpose whatsoever other than to, like, test your fate, which is insane to me.
I mean, the second one, you have a reward, but that's only if you survive.
Yeah, but what's with the Midnight Man one? Like, if you survive, you don't get anything except that you survived. Get anything.
Yeah, it doesn't say you get anything at all. At the end of the, I mean, okay, I'm not going to spoil that movie. Go watch that movie. It's from 2016, okay? It's been, 6 years? If you're a horror fan, I'm sure you've already seen it. But, yeah, go watch it. Robert Englund, he's actually in it. I was very surprised when I watched that movie and he popped up and I was like, what? That's
Anytime
crazy.
Robert Englund pops up, things are not going to go well for someone.
Like Stranger Things? I was like, what? He's in this too?
He was good in it too. Yeah,
I mean, for Midnight Man, there's no win. I don't know why anybody would want to do it unless it's like you need to feel alive again. But yeah, when it comes to the bad luck, I mean, what if you have such bad luck, like you lose your hand in the night, but you survive, you wake up, or you don't wake up, but like you notice, the sun comes up, you're still alive, but you have no hand. Maybe you're going to be lucky enough that a surgeon will be like, I can put your hand back on, or what? I don't know. I have no idea. It's just,
I mean, if you have the Adam ghost hunting kit, you already have salt glue. Just use the salt glue to reattach your hand. You should be fine.
I'm just thinking about that Resident Evil game we played.
Oh yeah, where you just like healed randomly.
You pour the stuff on your hand and it just heals. Anyway, that is Paranormal Games 6. Please don't try these at home, especially the one that literally says, do not do this at home.
Right on. I will follow your advice and not do any of those ever. I'm glad I know the rules now so I can see if someone's setting me up to be around for these. I'm going to be like, I'm going to go. I'll see you tomorrow, maybe.
You shouldn't be at anyone's house near midnight other than mine, just saying.
Okay, that doesn't mean we won't go somewhere together, and if we see this shit happening, we'll know to GTFO.
Oh, that's true.
Good stuff. Very creepy. This is, I think, is one of the more creepy paranormal games that you've covered, so I enjoyed it.
Thanks.
And yeah, I think it's just about everything we have for episode 246. If you enjoyed the topic, if you've ever played one of these games that we covered today, feel free to reach out to us. Or if you just have a story you'd like to share with us that's paranormal, supernatural, coincidental, true crime, or extraterrestrial in nature, email storytime@scaryish.com or go to our website, scaryish.com. Click on Contact Us. Fill out that form. It does come directly to us. Or hit us up on any of our social medias. Twitter is @ScarishPod. Instagram is @ScarishPodcast. And Facebook is facebook.com/ScarishPodcast. We will be posting pictures on those as we usually do every time we drop an episode. So visual aids always help. Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us, how can they do so?
You can go to patreon.com/ScarishPodcast. Those are monthly donations, tiers starting at $1. You can also go to Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/ScarishPodcast. And that particular website is for one-time donations if you're not into the subscription type thing. And all your donations go to helping us upgrade our studio setup and kind of keep going, kind of help us keep making content for you guys.
It really, really, really helps, and we appreciate all the support that we get, whether it's monetary or just people talking word of mouth to their friends about the show. It's amazing, and we thank you all from the bottom of our hearts. That is everything we have for episode 246. So, Robin, go ahead and do your thing and sign us out.
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.